Right, you lot, and please don't be distracted by the scenery. It's just a different scene, for God's sake. But it is time. Now, there's a few end of season videos I wanted to do, and one of them was Team of the Season. Now, I always find the Team of the Season a bit annoying because it's like, oh, you're just going to feel it with Man City or Arsenal players, and it's like, oh, so many mid-table teams overperform this year that it's a shame that I can't fit in a lot of their players. So I'm going to do two teams. I'm going to do a team with Man City and Arsenal, then I'll do a team removing those players and to give some shout outs to some other players. I'll also be giving honourable mentions for all the spots, because I really think there's a lot of honourable mentions this year. And I'm probably going to forget some, and please let me know if there's anyone that you would have put in your team. I know the Wolves and Brentford fans are going to be shouting why they think like Craig Dawson should be in the team of the season, or why Pinnock or me should be in the team of the season. Look, they're quality players, but they just couldn't make it. So let's start with goalkeeper. Goalkeeper was quite an easy one for me, actually. And there's a few candidates. If you're going to look at mid-table, Bernd Leno, one of the deals of the summer, absolutely, and David Raya. I mean, he's almost too good for Brentford, top tier keeper. Nick Pope obviously gets a shout out, been part of the best defence in the league. Didn't win the Golden Glove though, but least goals conceded. Although he did have an absolute blunder where he got sent off, which kind of turned me against him. Of course, De Gea, I think, he's a candidate. He did win the Golden Glove, but he had a few howlers throughout the season. Cool. For me, the goalkeeper has to be Alisson Becker. I think if you remove Alisson Becker from the team, Liverpool are as bad as Tottenham or Chelsea. You notice how Tottenham and Chelsea have poor keepers, whether it's Kepa or Mendy or Lloris. But Alisson has been consistent, and his main blunders actually weren't in the Premier League. His mistake against Real Madrid, that doesn't count, and then his mistake in the FA Cup against Wolves doesn't count either, so we get off the hook with that one. Right back. Now, right back was a weird one this season because your usual kind of nominations, your Reece James, your Kyle Walkers, your Trent Alexander-Arnolds, they weren't kind of at the level this year, so I've gone for Kieran Trippier, and I think it has to be him. I think, you know, people did laugh at this signing. They said, oh, he's just going for the money, and he could have easily turned out to be a Jesse Lingard, but no, he's been incredible for the team. I think he has been a bit overrated at times, and I did debate maybe giving it to Ben White, but I think you can't give it to Ben White. Ben White in the team, so yeah, right back has to be Kieran Trippier. The centre-back pairings, the first one for me has to be William Saliba. I think this guy, no one thought would be anything going to this season. Like most people thought you couldn't break up the centre-back pairing of Ben White and Gabriel going into this, but he's not only broken into that, and he's been so instrumental to everything Arsenal have done. I think he deserves a shout out. My other centre back, I'm going to go for Sven Botman. I wanted to have one of the Newcastle boys now. Big shout out to Fabian Schär, by the way, because he's gone leaps and bounds. A guy who couldn't even get to the Steve Bruce in his team, and now is sensational in that role. But yeah, big shout out to him. So I think Sven Botman, one of the signs of the season, has been so in one of the best defence in the league, and so important. It's got to be him. There's a lot of centre-back shout-outs you could give. I think me and Pinnock at Brentford, I've already mentioned, have been incredible between them. I think Lissandro Martinez and Varane have proven, once they got injured, how important they were to Man United. John Stones, I would have put him in there, but I think he's played more of like a midfielder these days, so you can't really have him in there. And then Ruben Diaz in the latter half has kind of shown quality, but I think in the first half he was quite poor. But there's loads of centre-back. Anderson at Crystal Palace has really impressed me. Even Bella Koch up at Southampton. I know they went straight down, but there's a lot of really good centre-backs, so unlucky if he didn't quite make it. Oh yeah, and Thiago Silva, my Chelsea player of the season, not as much of an award, is it? So, yeah. Now, moving on to left-back. Now for me, left-back, there were a few options. Luke Shaw, I think, has been a lot improved this season, but he still had a few howlers inside of him. Zinchenko, I think I would have had him in here, but I think in the last half of the season he's just been shown that defensively he's just not there. For me, the left back, I really wanted to give it to Estupiñán, I really did, but I gave it to Nathan Ake. When he signed from Bournemouth to Man City, and in his first couple of seasons, I just did not rate the guy. I just did not believe that he was the player that... He was good enough for Man City, but he has absolutely been incredible. And in a season where João Cancelo, who was seen as one of the best fullbacks, has just been shipped off to Bayern Munich like he was nothing. Nathan Ake has been incredible and has to in the team this season. Right now, midfield. I'm playing a midfield 2, which I'll explain later, and I'm absolutely gutted that because there's loads of defensive midfielder. João Palhinha, for me, is the sign of the summer. You know, a Fulham team that most people wrote off to get relegated, and he has made the most tackles in the league. It's been incredible. Check the Corey, brilliant at Crystal Palace as well. And there's so many more. Casemiro, I would have put him in the team, but I just think that the 2 players I picked are better than him. So that's why I've not gone for him. But incredible. And then Caicedo, my God. Talk about a star. Like, this guy, Liverpool fans are talking about signing him for like 15 million last summer. They lose Basuma, and then Caicedo's even better. Like, Moses Caicedo, absolutely sensational player. But for me, the midfield 2 are Rodri and Odegaard. Now, I'm playing a midfield 2 because I want to play with 2 strikers, which we'll find out in a minute. So, but I think Odegaard has been the player of the year for Arsenal. And anyone who disagrees, he's got like 15 goals in that side, been incredible for midfield, been the captain of that team, and has been so instrumental to everything they've done. Then Rodri has to make the team for me. It was a straight shootout between Rodri, Casemiro, and De Bruyne, because I haven't got De Bruyne in this team. I know it's mental, but I think De Bruyne, he's had loads of assists this season, and he's been so important. But I just think because his standards are so high that I couldn't include him, and I had to have Rodri, the most important Man City player in my opinion, behind Haaland. He is the defensive midfielder in that team, and he's improved so much over the years. You know, he couldn't really get in over Fernandinho at the start, but now he is so important. And if I could take any player from Man City for Liverpool, I would definitely take Rodri. No argument. Right now, the front 4, I'm playing with 2 wingers. I think Marcus Rashford has to be off the left, and I did debate Martinelli. I think he's a very strong. Matoma as well has been the breakout star of this season, clearly, and I really did debate having him, but Marcus Rashford, I know he's had a bit of a purple patch. I know he hasn't been great as of late, but to see the player that we saw last season to the player we saw this season is like 2 different guys. It really is, and what Ten Hag's been able to do with him, he's got to be there. On the right, it was a very difficult one, because on the one hand you've got Saka, but you've also got Mohamed Salah, and I have gone for Mohamed Salah because I think the guy doesn't get enough credit. You know, he's got 19 goals and 10 assists, and a really poor Liverpool team. You know, there was a time when Jota and Diaz were injured, and in a season where, you know, Nunez hasn't exactly set the world alight, and Gakpo, great as he's been, he's not necessarily a goal scorer. This guy has carried that Liverpool team, and not to the level that Kane maybe has, but on a similar vein. I think he needs credit. Like, to do this consistently for 6 years, he's got to be there for me. The striking duo, I had to find a way to get Harry Kane in this team, because 30 goals in one of the worst Tottenham sides I've ever seen is sensational. He deserves so much credit, and he's got to go. He's got to leave this season. If he doesn't, like, I've lost faith in the guy. I really have. Like, that's how much he needs to get out of that mess right now. Yeah. And then Erling Haaland is like the shoe-in, obviously. And it's a shame that Erling Haaland and Kane were so good, because there's loads of strikers that could be in for that. Mitrovic proved he could do it in the Prem. That's a big deal. You've got Ivan Toney, 20 Premier League goals for Brentford is sensational. Ollie Watkins had a great purple patch. I wouldn't personally have him in there, but you know, even I think Cody Gakpo deserves some credit for what he's kind of brought to this team. I think he's gone under the radar of a lot of people. So yeah, there's a lot of really good shouts. And even Jesus, I think, has really been a massive key figure in that dressing room. Has really Evan Ferguson as well, another breakout star from Brighton. Absolutely. Right now, we were going to talk about my team without Man City. I'm keeping Alisson in goal, obviously. Trippier at right back. The centre back that I'm going to bring in for Saliba, I'm going to give it to Lisandro Martinez, I think. Left back, I'm going to go Estepinian now. Now here's the big one. My midfield 2 now. I'm going to have to go with Casemiro and Caicedo. I don't even know his name, how you say it at this point. And then Up top, I'm going to keep the 2 strikers, and I'm going to replace Haaland with Ivan Toney. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to keep Rashford off the left. My manager of the season is Eddie Howe, which we'll get to in another video. I think it's got to be him for what he's been able to do here. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed the setting, I might do a bit more with it. If not, I'll be back in the room. I just wanted to switch it up, you know. Summer's around and that's, yeah, goodbye a lot.